أنا موجود اليوم بجاردين باوليستا، وتحديدا أمام منزل الدكتور راول كوتيت، وهو أهم وأشهر الجراحين بالبرازيل والطبيب الخاص لرؤساء الجمهورية البرازيلية. خلينا سوا نتعرف على الشخصية البارزة البرازيلية من أصل لبناني. Dr. Raul Cutait, thank you for your warm welcoming here in your house in Sao Paulo. You are today one of the best surgeons in Sao Paulo, in Brazil even, not in Sao Paulo, specialized in the digestive system, and you are a surgeon professor at Sao Paulo University. You were born here in 1950 after your grandfather immigrated from Marjayoun in the 19th century. Tell us more about his story and the story of your family's immigration.
Well, first of all, I'm very happy to be interviewed by you. I want to say hello to all the people in Lebanon, where in some way we belong to. And regarding my grandfather, my father was a surgeon, a professor of surgery, and he was a very important person in the Brazilian medical scenario. And he was, in a certain way, my great mentor. And I was always proud of him. But then, some 10 years ago, I've been in Lebanon, one of the few times that I've been there, and I went to Marjayoun. And then I couldn't understand the stories my father told me about, and he wrote in his book as well, of how his father immigrated to Brazil, live in Marjayoun all the way to Haifa to take a boat and cross the oceans and arrive in São Paulo.
It was very difficult then.
He was 13 years old. He didn't know the language, had no money, and there was a few people from Marjayoun or the area around that were established in Brazil. So he came with a few names written, and go and look to this guy or this guy, and well, so he was able to come to Brazil, make his life here. So he started working in commerce like all of them used to do at that time. He make some money. He went back to Lebanon to get married, as they used to do at that time. And he was so well self-educated that he was able to have my grandmother in love with him. My grandfather, he never had a formal education, but he was very curious about life, about everything, and he was able to get self-education in a way that when he went back to Lebanon, he met my grandmother, who was graduated from
the American University
of Beirut.
This is amazing.
It's at the end of the 19th century.
This was really, it's amazing to have a woman being, you know, a diploma holder from the AUB, the American University of Beirut, in the 19th century.
That's right. And what's amazing that my grandfather didn't have any, formal education, as I mentioned. So they got married, and they have 2 children. And then my grandfather decided to move back to Brazil and to establish himself in Brazil. And at the time he arrived, he said, "Now from now on, I'll be a Brazilian." And he tried to speak Portuguese most of the time at his home. So the 2 brothers of my father was the first one who was born in Brazil. The 2 of them, the oldest ones, they were able to speak Arabic currently. But the other 5 children, not very much, because they didn't have the chance to practice at home.
So your parents used to speak Arabic in your presence and together in your...
My grandparents, yes.
And your parents?
My father never spoke real good Arabic.
Okay.
He got married with my mother.
Your mother also is from Lebanese descent?
No, Syrian.
Okay, Syrian.
My grandparents from my mother's side, they also came when they were young from Syria. This very same way, took a boat, poor people, and make their life. And my father and my mother met here in São Paulo, and they got married. So the story is just about the same for, I guess, most of the immigrants at that time.
Yeah.
Because it was at the end of the 19th century, beginning of the 20th century, there was a huge migration from Lebanon and Syria to Brazil.
To Brazil. And how did your parents meet?
My father had a friend who was dating a girl, and my mother was the sister, one of the sisters of this girl.
Ah, okay. So
that's how they were introduced.
Very Lebanese way.
Perfect.
Yeah. So you were born here in Sao Paulo, and you grew up with your other three brothers. Tell us more about your childhood and the greatest memories you have.
Well, my father was a surgeon. He used to work a lot. And so basically, my mother raised us. And we were four. Unfortunately, I lost a brother some 20 years ago. And we had a lot of friends in the neighborhood that used to play soccer all the time. Well, I lived on a small street, and we used to close the street and play soccer on that, like in the very old times. And I raised in a very easy way, in the sense that at that time we had no problems with security, things that we have nowadays. Yeah. On Sundays in the morning, my father used to go to the hospital to see his patients, and he put the three of us, the oldest ones, in the car, and we used to spend the time playing in the garden. The hospital had a huge, nice garden, but I can remember many times I used to ask him, take me with you to see the patients. So at that time, very, very small, that tall, I had to put my head up like that to see what he was doing when he was examining the patients. And of course, he always asked the patient, do you mind if my son comes in? And also, that's so nice, so cute, little kid come in. And I think that was the way I started to like the doctor's life.
I think so. So your father being a surgeon, it influenced you also.
Well, he influenced me because
you were interested in discovering this field and specializing later in being also a surgeon.
Specialization was another thing, but I learned the beauty of being a doctor since I was a young boy. And I also enjoyed to see how happy he was being a doctor. So
he was
he had an office in his house. He used to study during the weekends and preparing classes, lectures, and I loved to sit beside him and watching what he was doing. And I had also my homework to do, and I like to do my homework in his office with him. So this influenced me very much.
Of course.
So at the time I had to decide what to do. It took me not too much time to find out that to be a doctor would be my life.
Yes, your life. And I know that your father also published some medical books.
Yeah, well, my father was a very known surgeon in Brazil and all over the world. He developed a surgical technique in his time, some 50 years ago, that was very known. And he was one of the first doctors in Brazil to establish very strong relationship with other doctors from other countries. In a certain way, he helped very much to put Brazil in the medical scenario when until some 34 years ago, Brazil was a very undeveloped country, not what we are today. And so he was a really important person. Syro-Lebanese is one of the best in this country.
Of course, if not the best, still today.
Well, more than ever, I would say. And there was a trick on that. because when the hospital starts, it was created in 1921, but didn't start until 1965, and my father was the first director. When he died, I succeeded him. But he was able to bring his colleagues from the University of São Paulo to work in the hospital. So since the very beginning, the Syro-Lebanese hospital started with the best people in
so
town.
He participated in the success of this hospital.
Yeah, and the trick was bring the best ones and give them all they need, and then the hospital will grow.
Of course.
And that's what happened.
Of course. ولد راؤول كوتيت بساو باولو بسنة 1950 من بعد ما هاجروا أهله من لبنان بأوائل القرن العشرين، وهو طبيب جراح متخصص بالجهاز الهضمي. تتعرفوا أكثر عن حياته المهنية الناجحة خليكم معنا بعد البريك. I would love to talk about your career now, which is really amazing. I know that you've studied in Sao Paulo University, then you went to the United States, and I know that today also you are a surgeon professor at the Sao Paulo University. But you told me a nice story before the interview about you being a resident and examining some Indians from the Amazon. Maybe you can tell us about this experience in your early years.
Well, it was a short experience, but very, very important to me, and I'll tell you why. I was a resident, and during my vacations I had the chance to go to Xingu, which is a national Indian park. And I worked as a doctor there, and seeing the patients, you know, and the park is very, very big. So sometimes we had to walk 2 hours to get in one of the to see one of the tribes, or 2 hours by boat, another 2 hours walking. But it was amazing because the Indians, they are a special kind of people. They
Special in what?
They are very pure in their relationship among them. I learned with the Indians something that's very, it's a great value. They respect each other, and they live in a community. They have their own individuality, but they are members of a community. Usually small communities, but a very respectful relationship among them. And this is something that we don't see anymore in this way.
We are losing these values nowadays.
I always try to remember the way to respect other people, and I always remember the Indians that I met. I have you know, very nice memories from this short time, and because life is always something that you go to. You look for values.
Of course.
You look for values. So I'll tell you, I live in Brazil. I'm a Brazilian. I was born here. My father was born here, but my background is Lebanese, and I don't speak Arabic. My children don't speak Arabic. My wife, Marcia, has a Lebanese background as well. She doesn't speak Arabic. But we have the values from our grandparents.
This is what I noticed.
Yeah. So we keep the values, and the food as well.
This is the most important thing.
Well, not the most important, but very important one.
The nicest one
Very important
in
one.
Lebanon. This is what make us famous all around the world. Our food. Even we have here, you have the sfiha and the kibbe, that is Lebanese. Yeah. Dr. Cutait, you are today one of the most important and famous surgeons in Brazil, and you are the personal doctor of the past presidents and the present president, Dilma Rousseff. Tell us more about this experience being the private doctor of a president of the Republic.
It's an honor to be chosen to be the doctor of presidents and some other respectful people from my country. But you know, for me, every single patient, it's important.
Of course. Or are equal to you?
They are equal in the sense that I give my best to each of them. But the sense that you, in a certain way, interfere what's going to happen with these people, and people will interfere what's going to happen with the country. It's something that you have to. It's something that you have to put in the game all the time. What matters is that I can, by example, show other doctors how to act as a doctor, how to behave, and to the people in general, what are their rights, what they can get from medicine. You know, because people follow what's happening with the politicians, their idols, their singers. You know,
yes,
this is important.
I understand.
And you always have to be humble. You never believe that you were really outstanding, you were important. No, you have to be humble. Every time you're not humble, you do mistakes.
A mistake.
Of course, you can make mistakes.
Of course, we are all human beings.
But if you are not humble, then the chance to happen something that
because you think you know everything. I know.
You know.
And what's I understand that you have values, you have ethics, and you need how you have been raised and how your dad was practicing. You are doing the same, and this is very important.
Well, you know, in every kind of in any career, values are extremely important, and ethics must be the #1 word. Mainly in this world where people value pretty much the financial success.
Yes.
And this is not the main thing. This may happen or may not. The importance that whatever you do with properly and being happy by doing it.
Yeah. Dr. Cutait, in your opinion, what made your success? Is it your professionalism, your experience, the values you believe in?
The question, success in life or success in profession?
In your career.
In my career, I think is to be dedicated, to be curious, to study a lot, and to understand that the best for the patient is your goal. You know, this is what we learned from Hippocrates 400 years before Christ, when he told us that the doctor has as a mission take care of his patients. And that's what I try to practice. It's better as much as I can, you know. And of course, when you mix with scientific activities, you tend to become better, because you always have to
learn more.
You have to learn more, and when you have to teach, you always have to be, you know, in a higher grade. So it's a mix between seeing patients and having, at the same time, a scientific life.
Of course. Did you ever fail in any of your surgeries?
I'll tell you a story. I wasn't a medical student yet, and I saw my father crying. I saw my father crying 3-4 times in all his lifespan. And I asked him, well, what happened? He said, well, you know, I lost a patient, and it makes me sad. So I learned this from him. I never want to lose a patient. I never want anything to go wrong. Sometimes we have to make decisions that seem seems to us that they are the best ones. And then in the long range you see that you could be doing something different behind, and then you regret, but you have to be very sure that you were taking the best decision at any single moment in your life, you know, because and this is based on your knowledge, your experience, your feeling. It's a mix of things, and the more you have all these three elements in your decision-making process, the best will be your decisions during life.
You were the former director of the Syro-Lebanese Hospital, which is one of the best hospitals in Latin America. Tell us more about your responsibilities then, and why is this hospital, as I heard, you know, solicited by all the VIPs and the politicians here in Brazil?
You see, the hospital has a very nice combination. Some of the best professionals work there. The hospital gives everything that we doctors need to have the best practice. And the doctors were in the very beginning the referral of the patients, and they brought them to Syro-Lebanese. Nowadays, the name of the hospital is very strong. So patients want the hospital and the doctors. So it's a combination again. And
they have the best services, I understand.
We have everything. We have is top of the line. You see, but we are not the only hospital that have all of this nowadays called commodities. But others have as well. But I think our combination, and behind that is a very warm atmosphere.
Lebanese one.
Lebanese one.
They're warm, welcoming, friendly.
That's right, and that also makes the difference. Now, in the last years, we created an oncology center at Syro-Lebanese Hospital. When I was a fellow in the United States in surgical oncology, I was very concerned about the fact that in Brazil you have to go to one place to see the surgeon, another place to see the oncologist, another place to take your exams. So I decided, let's make a center in the hospital. And then I put together at my time all the best people. I sent some people to train abroad, and then we create the center. That was inaugurated by our President Cardoso at that time. And this was a landmark because we started being known as a center. So the patients from not only Brazil, but several other countries from Latin America especially, start to learn that, well, this is a good place to go. So that was important. But another thing is that I learned from my experience in the United States that you should be an academic center without being part of the university.
I understand.
So, and my example was Cleveland Clinic. So we have the people from the university working there. We have an academic atmosphere. So let's start doing something that help people to develop academic activities. So we create an institute of education and research, and we receive more than 30,000 people every single year. So this is also something important that show that the hospital is not just for the people make money or to grow. We are here to contribute with our society by giving the best treatment for our patients and to give to professionals in house the opportunity to learn from us.
Yeah, and we can notice that the most famous doctors today are from Lebanese descent all over the world. What is the percentage of Lebanese descent doctors that you have at the hospital and amongst your students too?
It's amazing. There are many Lebanese and Syrian descendants that go to medicine and to politics as well.
Yeah, of course, we met many.
Yeah. Okay. So, but at the Syro-Lebanese Hospital, we don't choose people by their ethnical background.
Of course, by
And
competence.
so it is by competence.
Of course.
There are many descendants that are really competent. At the medical school of the University of São Paulo, I counted a few years ago, 1/3 of our full professors had a Lebanese last name. You know, it's amazing.
Yes.
And so I think that my generation learned from our parents' generation to be good,
To be ambitious and
to
hard workers.
fight for what we believe.
Of
you know,
course.
because they did the same in other areas, you know,
course.
mainly in commerce.
Yes. You are one of the 100 immortals in the National Academy of Medicine in Brazil. Tell us more about this academy.
There's a lady, the best writer in Brazil. He's 90 years old now, Lígia Fagundes Teles, and she used to say, she's a member of the Brazilian Academy of Letters, and she used to say that immortal is somebody who has no place to die. You know? So the word is mortal. But anyway, the Academy tries to congregate some of the best well-known doctors in the country. We're 140 of us are surgeons, 40 are physicians, not surgeons, and 20 are in basic science. That's the mix of the academy. It's a very...
it's prestigious, of course.
It's very prestigious.
Yeah.
It's very prestigious.
Yeah.
I'm very happy
Of
to be
course.
elected one of the members.
Of course.
Yes.
And you have won many prizes and rewards. And you told me that you had the Commandor reward from former President Lahoud,
Yeah.
Lebanese president.
Well, I have many in medicine, you know, for scientific papers, and have some condecorations from my country. And I have one that pleases me very much, is the Commandor from President Lahoud.
The highest.
It's like, yes, you were part of the game in
Of
Lebanon.
course, and you
that's
are
how I
rewarded
feel.
by your,
Yeah.
the country of your origins.
Yeah.
It has another taste, isn't
It's
it?
a
Yes.
nice taste.
Nice taste. You have published many books, many medical books. You like to share your researches? Why do you write
Well,
about
I think when you are have an academic's life, it's part of your job to share what you know, to generate data, you know, and you have, it's like an extra life. I have my life as a surgeon and I have my life as in academics, but they are, and both complement each other. I like to write. I have books published in Brazil. I have books published in United States. I have books, most of them in surgery, a few of them in public health. I was a former secretary of health in São Paulo, and so I got the taste for that. So I say that in my free time, instead of raising horses, things like that, I do some health work.
You should be very proud of your career, Dr. Cutait. مثل ما شفنا صار راؤول كوتيت من أهم الحكماء بالبرازيل، وهو الحكيم الخاص لرئيس الجمهورية السابق، كما أنه المدير السابق لمستشفى سيريو ليبانيز الواقفة قدامها، وهي من أهم المستشفيات بأمريكا اللاتينية. تتعرفوا أكثر عن حياته الشخصية خليكم معنا بعد البريك. I would love to talk about your family.
Okay,
You have a wonderful family. I met your wife, one of your sons. You are married to Marcia, and as you said, she has Lebanese descent too. How did you meet? And tell us more about your love story.
Okay, I know Marcia since we were
Kids.
young kids. Our parents were good friends, and they used to go out for dinner on weekends. They have a very nice relationship. But I never had the chance to be with her until I was 27. And after 1 year, we got married. And she was always best if I could had the chance to find my life. We're together 35 years, and she supports me.
Of course.
You know, with all this crazy life, because I travel a lot to meetings, classes, and things like that.
And you are a father of 3 children, a girl and 2 boys. Tell us more about your relationship with them. Are you close to them? Do you spend some time? Do you find some time to spend with them?
Of course. My family is the most important thing in my life. You know, and of course I don't spend all the time that I want to with them, but we try to be together as much as possible. My 3 children lived abroad for a while. Marcia and I believe that it would be important for their future to have an international exposure. But even when they were living abroad, we were in contact all the time, you know. And now they're not children anymore.
They're grown-ups.
But for us, they are still children.
Of course.
And very close. Maybe now more than ever, you know. And I gave up to go out all the time to, you know, to parties and things like that, because I prefer to spend my time with them.
Do they live with you, or it's like in the United States, they can be at 18, and in Europe they go and they find a place for
they do what they want. My son, Raul, he got married 2 years ago. He has his own life. My daughter, she still lives with me. And Fernando, who lived in the U.S. till till a few months ago, she came back and he's living with us, and that makes us very happy.
Of course.
Yeah.
This is a Lebanese family.
Yeah, we don't have the thing that, oh, you have to have your own life. You bother me by living here, or my parents bother us because it doesn't happen. No, I think we feel the need to be together as much as possible, and they can have their own life. They don't have to tell us
where they're going,
what time we arrive, and they have their life.
Of course,
but close to us.
Yeah, just like in Lebanon.
Probably.
Is any one of your children in the medical field or not?
No, no, because that was not their choice. I always gave them the chance to decide upon what they like to do. The only thing I recommended them is be good. Try to be one of the best in whatever you do. And that's the way to find not success, but happiness.
Satisfaction,
you know. If you learn more about wine, you can enjoy more than everybody. If you learn more about whatever, you can enjoy more than others. And that helps you to be happy and be satisfied with what you're doing with your life. You know, my grandmother from Lebanon, her family Zurob, they always had a doctor. Every single generation there was a doctor. And well, I was the one in my generation, and my brother has a son who is a doctor. I don't have one, but my doctor, my brother had his own doctor at home, and so we're keeping the tradition.
It's nice.
Yeah.
It's true. We have to have a doctor in the family, because usually you are afraid to go to check and to meet maybe a bad doctor. So this usually in Lebanon also they like to have a lawyer or a doctor or an engineer inside the house, so they are happy and satisfied. Well,
that's the old times, you know, when these are the 3 main careers.
Of course.
Nowadays they are not the best ones.
No.
The quality of life of
has
these
changed.
people it's quite different.
Of course.
The young people have more opportunities in other areas, and it's interesting. They have to create the opportunities. So the professional life has changed a lot for the new generation.
Of course. We're going more into arts also today.
Well, my daughter worked in arts. My youngest son is graduated in music at Berkeley College. But they have, you know, they do what they want.
Of course.
But be good.
And you talked with them about their Lebanese origins, and did they visit Lebanon with you?
Yeah, and, 10 years ago we went all together to Lebanon, and we spent 2 weeks traveling around. Was an amazing experience, and I must tell you that they wanted to do this trip. Not only us, but they were asking Marcia and I, let's go to Lebanon, let's visit Lebanon. You know, was great.
Yes,
was great.
Of course.
راؤول كوتيت بتزوج وعنده 3 أولاد، العائلة بتهمه كتير. إذا بدكم تعرفوا أكثر عن علاقته بلبنان واللبنانيين، خليكم معنا بعد البريك.
Talking about Lebanon, I would like to know what did you feel when you first visited Lebanon and Marja Ayoun?
I first visited Lebanon 40 years ago, and but I had the chance to spend just 2 days because I was going to a medical meeting, and when I bought the air tickets, the guy who was selling the tickets for me said, "Oh, there's the first flight from Air France from Paris to Beirut. Would you like to take it?" And for, "Oh, I'll love it, you know." Okay, but that flight was 2 days before 3 days before the medical meeting I was going to. So I met some of my relatives in these 2 days, of course, short visit, and I kept willing to go back.
Yeah.
I returned in 2003, and I was really concerned about going to Lebanon because of the war. But then I learned that there was no problem. You know, you just have to know where not to go, and that's it. That's it. And 1 year later, I went back with our governor, Alckmin, and some other Brazilian Lebanese descendants to an official visit. It was funny. And since then, I didn't have the chance to go back. Hopefully sometime next year. That's in my plan.
And and do you feel at home when you go to Lebanon?
The very same moment that I put my feet in the airport.
You just forget your Brazilian and
no, don't forget. They are together. Both, they are together all the time.
Is it difficult to have two identities?
I don't have two identities. I'm a Brazilian, of course, but with a very strong Lebanese background that influences my life all the time.
Beautiful
so
answer.
you know, I wasn't born in Lebanon, but I have most of the Lebanese values, and that I put together with the Brazilian way of living. So I think it's a very nice combination.
Indeed.
Good mix.
Indeed. What do you think about the medical corps in Lebanon? Do we have good hospitals, good medical universities? What is your opinion?
I don't know very much about the health system in Lebanon. I had a meeting with the Minister of Health one time, and had a project that I offered that we was doing here to Lebanon. Never succeed. But
Why it never succeeded?
I don't know. I was ready to help them to start
This was
basic.
Long time ago?
Oh yes, almost 10 years ago. But the health system needs to be improved. I understand that most of the people don't have any kind of government insurance.
Yes.
And so if you can pay, you have it. If you can't pay, you don't have it.
Yes.
That was like, Brazil was like that some 25 years ago. So, and you know, you have to pay attention for the people who don't have. Those
money.
who have the way to pay for the expenses, well, you always can build and improve the private system.
Sure.
But for those who don't, that's a problem of the government.
Of course.
And Lebanon is not that big, so it's not a big deal to start something
only
new.
for millions of citizens, and when Sao Paulo is 11
million, almost 3 Lebanon.
Of course, of course.
But at least 10% of the people here are Lebanese descendants.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, at least 15% in Sao Paulo.
Of course, they told us between 6 and 8 million.
Yeah.
In Sao Paulo, a million. A million. I mean, in Brazil.
Yeah, in Brazil,
the biggest diaspora.
People say 10 million, 15 million.
Yes.
No, you never know, because many people get married and change their last name.
Of course, and they
so
don't
have
even
a Brazilian, Portuguese, or whatever German last name, and the mother was, have a Lebanese last name.
Would you like to maybe achieve something in Lebanon concerning health and hospitals?
Oh, I'd love to help. Oh,
you would like to. Yeah. So it's a message to all the ones concerned, maybe the government, maybe the new Minister of Health, if he would like to do anything with Brazil, and especially...
I'd be more than pleased to help in any way.
Dr. Cutait, maybe you have a last word to all the Lebanese viewers who are watching us tonight in Lebanon and all over the world.
Well, I want the Lebanese people to know that Lebanon is in Brazil, and that we in Brazil have Lebanon among us, in our hearts. It's interesting, we don't feel like we are divided. You know, you're Brazilian, you're Lebanese. No, we're both at the same time, because we put together the best values of the two countries. So to finish, I'm very proud that my parents came from Lebanon.
And we are very proud as Lebanese, as purely Lebanese, to have great people like you of Lebanese descent, and we hope that we can cooperate together for a better Lebanon, I hope.
Thank you.
And thank you very much.
Thank you.
بحلقتنا اليوم تعرفنا على الدكتور راؤول كوتيت، الإنسان العظيم اللي آمن بالقيم وأيضا الضمير المهني اللي أوصلوه إلى نجاح ما له حدود. إذا بدكم تعرفوا أكثر عن هالحلقة أو عن دكتور راؤول كوتيت ما تنسوا تتابعونا على مواقع التواصل الاجتماعي. وما تنسوا تحضرونا الأسبوع القادم بنفس الوقت تكتشفوا اسم جديد من أسماء من التاريخ.